Right. So this is the live feed, guys. We are here live with Graham, Graham Simmonds, but we're just going to give it a moment to start populating the feed. Give us a second to share everything to where we need it to share to. If you're out there, please drop us a comment. Let us know that you're there. Let us know where you're from. And if you would, happy days, please share this with your friends and tag others who might be interested in watching. Just bear with us a minute while we wait for the feed to populate with viewers. And hey, Bonnie, nice to see you again. Welcome. And and let us just get the share on as well here. So Graham's going to go on his phone and share the video to his profile so any of his mates can see it. And I'm going to do it to my profile and perhaps to some of the groups that showed interest. So there it is, share. It's on. Share to a group. Cool. Have you got it done, Graham?
I think so. It says my watch party is about to begin.
Oh, nice. So, there's Brittany from the US. Hi, Britt. Yeah, that's great. Let's see who else. Let me also get it up on my screen here so that I can see what's going on. We can make sure that everybody is in the loop.
Okay, we've got a few people jumping in here, which is cool. Hi all, Heather K, Karen Dewhurst, Gordon. Wait, hang on. Are we supposed to actually tell people that we mention their names? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're supposed to be working or something like that.
Maybe just use their first name. Yeah, use the first name so that you don't spam them. We don't want to get people into trouble here. Okay, so here we are. Rosie's there as well. Hi, Rosie. My other phone died last night, so I'm a bit lost at the moment because I'm trying to operate various different methodologies. Michelle Keefe. Hi, Michelle. Long time no see. Good to see you. Right. So, shall we get on with this?
Ready.
Right. So, just for those of you who don't know, this is Graham Simmonds. Graham, apart from being the first recognized and confirmed COVID-19 case in Zimbabwe, is a good friend of mine from Victoria Falls. We spent quite a bit of time together whilst there, doing all manner of adventures from catching crocodiles, like you can see in the picture. That's Graham and I catching the crocodile on the Vic Falls Bridge, a big thing that you might have heard about a couple of years ago. And he's also works in the tourism industry, and all around just a generally good citizen of Victoria Falls. So today's topic basically is Graham's contraction of COVID-19 and recovery, and basically how it affected him both physically and emotionally and psychologically, because obviously these things come with more than just a physical toll sometimes. So how's it, Graham?
Hey, thanks, Paul. Yeah, just want to say thank you to Paul for having me on his talk show here. I've been asking for many months and weeks to try and get on, and it took me having to catch the dreaded corona to actually get the nod. So yeah, thanks very much, making me go through all of that to just crack the nod to come onto here. So yeah, looking forward to chatting about it and seeing it. I think maybe we'll go into, hopefully there's lots of questions that come in, and we can go take different routes.
So just a bit of background for everybody. Graham actually came to the UK to attend some travel exhibitions, some trade shows. And whilst he was here, he spent some time in London. And I raced up from my little village in the country into London to go and say, how's it? And spend an evening with him and a couple of other Zim guys. And we had a really good time on that. That was, what was that, a Thursday night?
Yeah, it was a Thursday at the Indian restaurant.
I had to go to London anyway because I was attending a lecture at the Royal Society of Chemists. and just so happens that it was not very far from where he was. So it all worked out quite nicely. But we had a good evening and all the rest of it. And Graham then flew back to Zimbabwe on the Saturday, got home on Sunday. And on Monday morning, I actually called into work and told them that I felt I should go into self-isolation. This was before any lockdowns, because I was experiencing some kind of COVID symptoms. And at which point I contacted Graham and said to him, hey, listen, I've self-isolated today. How are you feeling? Because I'm not feeling good, and I think that there's a potential that I might be infected. To which you responded?
I said, man up, have a spoon of cement. No, I actually said, gee, I'm also feeling a little bit, so this is the Monday, feeling a little bit under the weather. But I mean, I fly really badly in terms of I don't sleep on planes and stuff like that. So I thought, you know what, feeling a little bit fluey, maybe it's a little bit of jet lag. So yeah, I didn't think too much of it, but when you did mention it, then I suddenly thought, hang on. But I think also it's important. Sorry, Paul, if I can just jump in and say, this isn't the beginning of when everything was started. You know, I mean, most of us Zimbabweans, we like to think we're tough in that, but we would never have traveled to the UK if the pandemic had been announced and there were all these cases. So I like to, when people ask me questions about it, I like to kind of think of it as a loaf of bread, you know, those sliced breads that you get in the shops. And basically we're on one side at the moment, and there's lots of different slices that we'll go through to get to where we are now. So a lot of the stuff we might talk about in the beginning sounds really stupid that we did. But in those days, there was no warning. I think the UK probably had one case, and then the Minister of Health caught it, and everyone started to sit up. Then they announced, I think, on the Wednesday that there's, you know, it's pandemic status, but the UK still had everything going. People were getting worried about flying back, and everyone was, yeah.
To give context, I mean, this was the beginning of March, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah. It was the second week of March. So I left your shores on the 14th of March. Got back here on the 5th.
So the UK only went into lockdown at the end of March or beginning of April, because I know that I had self-isolated 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks prior to the actual lockdown, because I actually laughed when they went into lockdown. I was like, well, I've been in self-isolation 2.5 weeks longer than everybody else now. So yeah, it was before the UK called a lockdown. It was when everyone was still being quite complacent about everything. There wasn't any major hype and noise about it. It was just like everyone was kind of cautious, but it wasn't as real as it is now.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, I even attended a soccer match with a colleague in the UK, and it was I mean, great to go to the soccer match, big Premier League and stuff like that. But like thinking about it now, knowing what we know now, and how everyone was reacting, and in crammed tubes, in sharing taxis, you know, like a waiter coming and passing, putting a whole bunch of cutlery on the table, and everyone passed it around. I mean, you and I even, this is going to sound romantic, but you and I even shared a meal. I don't know if you remember, like there was a little bit at the Indian restaurant, that butternut chicken. Now, a lot of people might say,
Josh, you think I can?
Yeah, it was from Dave and that. But yeah, the first time I've ever had a butternut chicken, not a butter chicken. But yeah, so and it's just amazing to think now where we are and how we react. Like before we even step outside a house or a gate, we've got a mask on and we sanitized our hands and we're making sure there's no other humans nearby type thing. To then when it was all just free-spirited, my favorite word in the whole world, willy-nilly, everyone out and about, doing as they like. Yeah, so that was the Thursday I saw you. Friday we were actually supposed to see each other again. Yeah, and then you couldn't make it, which is probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So then on Monday morning I called you, told you that I wasn't feeling great, and then you sort of said to me as well that you weren't feeling great either, and that you were probably going to get some form of checked out in some way or another. So take us from Monday morning forward.
Okay, so important to note that when I was in the UK, my work called me and said, hey, when you come back, it's mandatory now for everyone who's overseas, who's coming from an area where there have been cases, to self-isolate for 14 days. And I hit the roof. I was like, I'll be honest, I said, listen, this is pathetic. How can you expect me to self-isolate? There's like 2 or 3 cases in the UK. I'm coming home. I haven't seen everyone, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, they said, no, listen, rather be safe than sorry. And then it kind of turned to an argument, but also because I was a bit worried about we've got frontline staff in where we are, meet and greet people. I'm like, well, if I'm not allowed to go to the office, but they're going to be going to the office after being at the airport and things like that, it kind of defeats the object. So anyway, my boss, who I owe a bottle of champagne to or a beer afterwards, basically said, listen, have you heard what I said? I said, yes. He said, cool, I'm hanging up the phone. I don't want to see you in the office. I don't want to see you outside your house. So that was a massive, massive blessing in disguise. So anyway, got back on the Sunday, feeling a little bit jet lagged, into self-isolation in the house. Monday, we chatted. I don't think we chatted again on Tuesday. I'm not too sure, but basically started watching my symptoms a little bit more after your phone call.
I know we did message every day. So yeah. Tuesday would have been like, hey, look, how do you feel? And then there wasn't much.
There was, sometimes we'd just send selfies to each other and stuff like that. No, so it was, yeah. And then on Wednesday, I think I said, no, I'm getting tested. I think, yeah, after I spoke to our GP, and he said, no, they'll send the people around. So the guys came on, I believe it was Wednesday, which was a bit surreal because now you're obviously in your house and you're still feeling okay. My boss called me and he said, I hear you're getting tested. I said, yeah. He said, do you think you've got it? I said, 99.99% sure I do not have it. I've had some symptoms, but it's not anything that I'm seeing on the news and the media. So anyway, I got tested and it took 2 days to get the results. Still self-isolating, so that's awesome to know. I didn't go out or anything like that. And then basically on Friday evening, I think it was, a GP called. And how it works here is
before you get there, just so on my side from those days. So Tuesday, I still wasn't feeling hundreds, but I called the office and I said, listen, I feel a lot better, but I don't know what the situation is. Because it was very blurry for me what the situation was. I don't have 100% confirmation on my side whether I did or didn't have it. But that's all. The plot will thicken as Graham talks more. But I actually on Tuesday went for a run to see how I could cope, see if I was feeling better. And I did my run, and for some reason, my muscles after that run immediately started going into like spasm and were abnormally painful for days afterwards, like ridiculously painful muscle stiffness and muscle soreness for the amount of work I had actually done or the amount of energy I'd expended. I've never had muscles as sore as that in my life. And that's when I knew that was still not right. There was something wrong. And I remember telling that to Graham. And then I spoke to my work and I said, look, I'm not 100%. I don't know what to do. I called the COVID hotlines and all that here in the UK. And basically, you can't get tested unless you're dying. So they just tell you self-isolate and wait for it to blow over. If you start dying, come to the hospital and then we'll sort you out. So my boss and my colleagues decided that I should wait for Graham's results and then act accordingly to Graham's results, because him and I had that contact together. And if he was confirmed, then it's a high likelihood that I was also in the same boat. So you may continue. So Graham said to me he was getting tested on Wednesday. He got tested, and then I was waiting with bated breath to hear his results.
Yeah. So it was on. Paulie, I'm getting what are the subtitles on my thing? Do I turn it off? Because that must be irritating people. I'm sure they can turn it off themselves.
I don't think anyone else can see them, because I had that last week and I don't think anyone else could see it. And I was also very confused.
Anyway, if you want us to turn subtitles off, we can give it a try. Just drop a message. Okay, so sorry. So back to and how it works in Big Fours is obviously you speak to a GP, and then they had again. Remember, I'm using the word immature, but not immature in people, immature, but in the infancy stages of Corona. So no one really knew how to react and stuff at that moment. And so the GP very fortunately put me in touch with the Corona task force or the rapid response team. They came to the house, and it was a bit nerve-wracking because you got your house is your safe zone, and suddenly there's a big ambulance parked outside. They're wanting to come in. You have to step away from the ambulance. Remember, those days we didn't have masks as civilians and that. And you step away from the ambulance, and everyone, like the guys, get out and they're wearing full hazmat suits. It's like either they've come to remove a huge hive of bees or they've come to stick something down your nose. So you don't know what to do. You kind of you're sitting there. You almost feel criminal, I suppose is the word, and hoping the neighbors don't drive past or someone looks over the wall. And Paulie, Big Falls is a small community, so we just take one person to see an ambulance turn into Graham's house, and then something's happened. They probably wouldn't have thought corona, but they would have thought something else, and people start talking. So anyway, they did the test where they put a swab. It's about that long, and it goes as far down your nose until you can feel it tickling you in the toes. And they twist it, and it goes even further, and then they take it out. And it took 2 days to get the results, because they had to get it to Harare. That's where they had the testing machines in those days. Now we've got testing facilities a lot closer. And basically on the Friday, they called, doctor called and said, hey, have you spoken to the rapid response team? And when he said that, then I knew, listen, there's probably something more up here, because otherwise it probably would have been just a text message would have sufficed to say, hey, you cleared, you're neutral. And then, so then he went into a quick, strict a follow-up. So it was basically, who have you seen? When did you travel? What was your seat number and stuff like that? And, it's quite difficult once you got this news and you're thinking, like, geez, okay, I got corona. You've seen all the negatives on the news. What's happening? What stage am I in? And now I need to start talking to who I'd been near and stuff like that. So all kudos to the GP. So gave the tracking thing. And I actually initially, Paul, I think I forgot about. No, I didn't actually. You were one of the first ones on the list, because I went through day by day. But there were some people that I forgot that had called back and say, hey, I remember seeing this person, this person, this person. And Zim, I don't know if they were interested in contacting you, or it was mostly the Zimbabwean people, citizens, that they wanted to. But you, when I had to contact you, you're actually the first person. So when I went through after they announced it on the news, and the ministry did me a real solid by announcing, they didn't say the name, but they basically said Caucasian guy coming back from the UK. And so I had to quickly go change my Facebook status, because there was like pictures of me in the UK and stuff like that. And people started putting 2 and 2 together. So friends in Vic Falls, and some even overseas, originally from here, started messaging saying, hey, I've received this. So then, it was a bit tricky, but I called you, and most people who I'd called and said, listen, I got to tell you this, I'm sorry, but we met for drinks in the UK, and I've just been tested positive, and you maybe just need to check yourself and make sure you're okay, and your kids and whoever you've come into contact with, don't go and meet with an elderly or anyone thing. And you feel guilty. But you actually were the first person who I said, hey, Paulie, listen, I've tested positive. I might have infected you. And I don't know if you remember your first words to me, but you said, hang on, mate, I might have infected you. And it took a lot off my shoulders, which were cool. Because then I was like, okay, yeah, it's true. I didn't invent corona. I didn't want corona. And I'm not the cause, the root cause of it. So that meant a lot to me. So thank you for that. And it just spiraled out from there.
Together at the same place.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you there.
I said it's the truth. We could have been infected together at the same place. You never know where it could have come from.
I thought you said you loved me, and that's why I just wanted to hear it again. So no worries.
You already know that. I don't have to tell you 3 times a day. I tell you twice a day already.
So that was the Friday, and it was a bit hectic, because obviously you got to let the parents know, because now it just starts spreading like wildfire. And strangely enough, with the media that we had here, the very next day, a friend actually sent me. I chatted to him that morning, which was good, but he sent me a newspaper article saying that I had already died. And then I was like, am I having this out-of-body experience? Because he has a newspaper article saying the first patient in Zimbabwe from Victoria Falls has passed away. And it was weird. So I had to quickly get on the phone to my parents and just let them know, because the weird world of social media and how it works is one WhatsApp message can get forwarded 1 billion times in a second. We know how it works. I mean, all those conspiracy theories and stuff that are out there. And so I had to tell them, hey, if you come across this, like, don't stress, like, I'm here, because maybe I'd be, I don't know, in the bathroom, my phone's not there, and they're trying to call and they start to worry. So yeah, it started to go really fast from there.
Just a quick one. Let's just shout out to some people that are there. We've got a record-breaking 60 people on watching today that I can see, which is far more than most people come to watch my little broadcast before. So big shout out to all you guys. Thanks so much for coming. I know you came for Graham and not for me. And that's okay. But yeah, I appreciate the support. Appreciate everyone who's taken the time out of their day to watch. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. We will take as many questions as are presented. And if you think anybody else is interested, please share the video, drop a comment, tag someone who else might want to watch it. And yeah, I do this every Wednesday. Hopefully every Wednesday I'll have a different guest. This is my new little project, Soshing with Suntwe. And yeah, every fourth Wednesday, it'll be more like an AMA, just me alone, because I can only do a guest 3 times a month on this package. Otherwise, I end up having to pay lots of money to bring in more guests in 1 month. So I'll have 3 guests in a month, hopefully, and then on the fourth week, it'll be just me chatting to you guys about whatever you feel like chatting about. And if you want to be on as a guest, please inbox me, let me know. Come up with a topic. I'm happy to discuss pretty much anything. Yeah, let's look at as many different things from as many different perspectives as possible, and let's get some light entertainment whilst also trying to educate ourselves, or just educate me at least.
So yeah, if I can give a few shout outs from my side here. So first of all, Dave has mentioned that you can turn off the captions if you push the 3 buttons, and then the subtitles disappear. So I don't know if you have to do it your side because it's your live thing. But yeah, just quite a few friends have logged on, which is nice. So we've got people from the UK, we've got people from Mauritius, we've got people from India, we've got people all over from the States, so that's cool. And yeah, so Tennille has asked, is the test as bad as it looks? I had to actually have 4 tests. Before I do that, sorry, hi Simon. Simon asked for a shout out, so I've said hi to Simon. He's a great mate in Mauritius, yeah. Get him on the show once or twice, it'll break there. So yeah, so Tennille, basically those tests, that there's different ones. There are rapid ones they can do where they swab your mouth, but the ones that they were using here go down into your nasal passage and stuff. And there's pictures you can Google, not mine, but yeah, they're not the best. It's yeah, a bit of a worry. And then what they have to do is they have to test you afterwards, because it's not just like, hey, you've had corona and then after 21 days, in those days they believed you could go out. So Zim followed World Health Organization guidelines, and it was 28 days, and then they retested me. And you have to test yourself. They have to test you twice, one today and then one 24 hours later. And both those tests have to come back negative before they will allow you to go back into the public space and reintegrate into society. And unfortunately, after 28 days, my one test was negative. My one test was negative and one was a positive, so a week positive. So they said, no, you have to wait another 7 days, and then they're going to test me again. So I had to wait another 7 days. It was actually a bit longer because it's Easter coming up now. And eventually they came and tested me then. It took a couple of days. And they said, yeah. So in total, Tennille, I think I had 4 tests before I could get 2 that were actually negative within at least 24 hours.
So now
that was
where you nail a nail into your head with that whole carnival trick.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was bad. And every time it was, ambulance coming and stuff. And in fact, the one time the ambulance parked outside because they got to know me, and the neighbor drove past and knew I had corona then and saw the ambulance. So thought things are taking a turn for the worse. So started calling like the company and the boss was trying to call me, and I'm trying to answer a phone and I've got this thing down my nose, and it was just started getting a little bit out of mayhem and stuff like that.
Okay, we got questions from our side here. Firstly, Ant Adams says, glad you boys are okay and can share your story with us. Thanks, Ant. Yeah, that is always a bonus. Rosie wants to know, so how sick did you actually get, Graham?
So yes, look, it's I had minor symptoms, and they considered minor symptoms. It has caused a bit of frustration, not that I had the minor symptoms, but a lot of people have said, well, you didn't really have it. Like, are you sure you had it? It was not a political stunt and stuff. Because my next test, when I was trying to get freedom back, came back positive, then I was certain I had it. But yeah, my symptoms, when I was flying back, I was temperature checked, and my temperature was always spot on. But also remember, you're sitting in an airplane, your body's cold anyway. I'd never had a fever that I could think of or recall. And then it was mostly, I had body aches. I had a stuffed nose, not a runny nose, and I had a dry cough. And the dry cough was about 3, maximum 4 times every hour. So not something that you would be like, geez, I've actually got this. This must be it. I did have vertigo, which I thought was a symptom, and you and I chatted about it, but I realized the vertigo came after the first test when they stuck the swab down and it starts to mess with your thing. So it was a dry cough, no major headaches, but just fatigue. Like I couldn't walk to the end of the garden without having to stop and take a few breaths. And then also at night, like when I normally sleep, I sleep on my stomach. I can't sleep on my back. And I was unable to sleep on my stomach because it felt like my chest was being compressed. It almost felt like you had like a 10 kg ball, for those in America, 22.2 pounds, whatever it is, sitting on your chest. And so you couldn't really breathe. And then you start to worry a little bit. And then the worst was, shame, there was the second case was found in Harare, a young gentleman who had traveled back from Chicago, the States, I think it was, and he had an underlying health issue, which we didn't know about, the public didn't know about. So yeah, Graham in Vic Falls was the first case, and then about a week later, I think it was, the second case came up, and it was, you almost wanted to reach out to him and say, hey, listen, we're the only two people in Zim currently that we know of, but it was sad because he passed away. He took a turn for the worse. And he passed away because of his complications. So then we didn't know he had complications, the public at the time. So now I'm sitting here, doctor, ministry were all really great. They were always on WhatsApp. Listen, if you need help, we'll come in. If you don't need help, let's keep ourselves safe and distant. So I was happy with that. But as soon as he passed away, I'm sitting and watching TV and you hear this case has passed away, even though my symptoms were minor, and I felt I could get through, you suddenly think, geez, what happens if he was a little bit further down the line? And here I am sitting at home with a smile on my face, doing my best to keep working and stuff. But if something goes wrong, because Zim, with all due respect, we weren't as well set up as we are now. Now in Vic Falls, there's ventilators, there's a task team, has done an amazing job and stuff like that. But we were never as set up to take. If things had turned worse, I got great doctors around me and stuff, and I'm sure they would have been able to do great work. But you never know how worse. Are you going into like full on no breathing, or you're just feeling a bit sick and stuff, and then borders started closing, so there's no medevacs around. So Zim had to actually turn internally and start to raise funds and stuff and put medical equipment together.
So from a symptoms point of view on my side as well, Graham and I sort of kept comms every day, and our symptoms pretty much developed exactly the same. The only thing that was really significant for me was that muscle soreness. So fever side of things, I had one sweaty fever night, I think was the night before I called in to work sick, so it was a Sunday night. And then that Monday I was in bed all day and just trying to take it easy, like mild flu symptoms. Then the Tuesday, like I said, I was feeling much better. I went for a 4-kilometer run, and that's when the muscle soreness stuff started. So I was still running. My chest got tight and felt heavy for the entire duration, but I never actually developed a full-on cough at all. There was no cough. No cough.
And headaches? Any headaches?
No, not really.
It's not what your wife told me. You were the biggest headache to her. So, yeah.
But, all I had was like very sort of general feeling of unwell and like mild flu symptoms. It wasn't. For me, it wasn't like I thought I could still go for a run. And then I think I even went for another run on Thursday to see if I could, but my muscles were too sore. Yeah. And Graham actually gave me a bit of flack for that. He's like, don't be stupid. Why are you running? Yeah. I was saying, yeah, I'm scared of being fat again, like I was when you saw me in that picture of the crocodile.
Paul, we've got two questions here. So, well, the first is from Mr. Cook down at H-Town.
So keep going.
He was talking. He chatted to me, so he's a good friend of the Harare now. And actually, before they had their first case, we were chatting, and I said, "Listen, don't go out. It's probably in Vic Falls anyway." And I think my words to him when he said, "How was I feeling then?" was definitely I'd had worse hangovers, but not to pull on to in a light mood in that. Yasha also down in Zim. He said, "How did you guys recover?" It just took time. So a lot of people did ask me, like, what medication were you on? How did you survive it and stuff like that? And it comes back to that whole, if you're in a certain age category, you've got a very, 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 very strong chance of of clearing it. You just have to obviously look after yourself in that. So the strongest pain medication I actually took was Panadol. There's nothing else you can take. You're not supposed to take the anti-inflammatories. And it was the Panadol worked because it helped with the muscle pains and just allowed me to sleep a little bit better. The other thing was drinking hot water and lemon and things like that. Now, it's not a cure. And I know there's people who say breathe into hair dryers and drink salt water and turmeric and stuff like that. That's not a cure, but what it did do is it did help with the breathing a little bit. So I don't know, I can't explain, I'm not a doctor, if it was opening up your lungs more or whatever, but what it did do, it relaxed me, and it meant I'm not going to use the word wheezing because I wasn't wheezing, but like, when you're having to take 3 breaths to your 1 normal breath at some stages when you're walking from A to B or you're lifting something or things like that, it did start to help let that up, which is good. So in Yasha, it took a bit of time, and literally it kind of peaked, and that's when it really felt like someone was sitting on my chest, or if I leant down forward and stuff like that, I couldn't sleep in my chest. It was bad, but slowly it started to feel better, and obviously a lot of people were worried, and you didn't want to put a crazy, send fear through everyone that they think you're gonna kick the bucket or whatever. So it kept a smile on the face and tried to play it off as much. But it's definitely, even the minor symptoms is not something you want to give. And Paulie, sorry, I know I'm talking over the longer 1 minute, 2 minutes, but yeah, it's the important thing is obviously it's like you, Paul, can recover, I can recover and stuff, and we evidence to that. But the worry is obviously it's the person that you might give it to, and maybe they won't recover, or not even them, it's the 3 or 4 down the line. So for example, when I came back on the Monday we normally play touch rugby, and because work had said, hey, don't go to touch rugby, don't go to work and don't go out, you're self-isolated. I was fortunate that I was stringent enough to stay home, because it would have been great to go and see my mates I haven't seen for over a week and just go shopping or go for a walk or something like that, even if I was feeling a little bit jet lagged as mentioned. But had I gone to that touch rugby, and I survived, we know that, we're at the end of the loaf of bread as we chatted, but had I gone to touch rugby and played, I mean, I'm not the fastest guy, but a lot of people probably would have been touching me and catching me if I had the ball. They could have got it, just breathing on each other, and then they go home to their house and they might share with 2 or 3 other people. And then that person goes to a hotel where there's a staff member who's worked for 30 years or something, or they visit their elderly grandparents or something like that. And then those are the people that start to get affected about it. So that was my biggest worry as well. And kudos to work for telling me to sit tight.
Yeah. Rosie is asking, were there any other confirmed cases in Vic Falls?
Negative. No official confirmed cases in Vic Falls. So I think that's the one thing that the newspapers were happy about, in terms of saying I managed to not infect anyone.
Daniel's saying, what are your views as to if this is natural or man-made?
Hey, this might be. It's natural. I'm saying it's natural. Like, I know there's a lot of conspiracies out there and people laugh and stuff like that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I like to watch a movie and laugh about the theories. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I do believe in opportunistic theories. So whether or not people are saying China made it, or the UK made it, or Bill Gates made it, people will rise to the occasion to take forth an opportunity. So let's say China had it. It came from bats or whatever. Someone ran into a cave and they were hiding from the bats, or came out of a laboratory, hiding from the rain, and they touched the bat poo-poo and they got it somehow because it mutated, or it escaped from a lab, whatever it was, different theories. China had it first and it spread. So China's coming back now. They've got the economy slowly getting back on track. They can start buying market shares where they feel like they're going to have a stronger foot. So now people are saying, oh my gosh, China created it to drop the economy to be able to buy the market share. So I don't believe in the conspiracy theorists, but I do believe people are going to try and make money out of something. We humans, we're greedy. That's how we got into this problem in the first place. So opportunity theorist, not a conspiracy theorist, if that makes sense.
But humans will try and find patterns even where they don't exist. That's just the nature of humanity. So a lot of the time these theories get pulled out because there's some correlation, but correlation doesn't mean causation. So it's a difficult one. Next question is got from Ori Lee. They say you struggle with your chest even after the virus. How true is this? Well, the thing is with this, you can only give anecdotal evidence from first-hand experience. Can't speak for everybody else. So from my point of view, I'm running 5Ks a day at the moment without any hassles. Graham?
If I ran 5Ks, I would have hassles before Corona. So I actually went for my first. We chatted earlier. I went for my first run today, and yeah, it was. Look, I haven't run for 6 weeks or done anything further than the edge of the garden and back, and it was okay. So before I get any stick about running in Victoria Falls, there's a statutory instrument that says we can. So don't start hitting me up about that. But yeah, so I haven't noticed any effects. I think maybe when I go back to longer distance, because it was a short run, or maybe if I go back into the gym or something like that, we'll notice. But I don't think, just from what I felt.
Depends on how bad it hits you. So,
correct, as well, yeah. And age and stuff.
Yeah. Then Hugh Coppin just says, Graham told me it was like a bad hangover. He should know what that feels like.
I meant the movie.
Rosie said, thank goodness they were mild, but it still sounds bad. Shame. Sue Lorraine Clark, taste and smell, was yours affected?
Funny enough, yes. So Sue, actually the smell, like, because it was still in its infancy and immature stages, people started talking about the loss of smell. And I was actually, I would go through stages where, it's going to sound gross, but let's just, things like my salivary glands would start to overreact, and I'd start to feel quite nauseous and stuff. And I think it was going through a phase where my smell had been affected, and then I would suddenly just get a strong smell of something, and eventually it felt like it went away completely. So much so that I could cut an onion and hold it to my nose and breathe in, and I wouldn't be affected by it. Because if I do that now, I'm crying like I've just watched Frozen 2 again.
I have no recollection on the taste or smell thing, but I don't think my sense of taste is all that good anyway. But yeah, I have no recollection on that. Then Killian Tavares, do you think being fit made a difference for you, Paul? Not sure how fit Graham is. Wondering if being fit made any kind of difference. Firstly, thank you. Thank you for that. But I'm pretty sure it does. I mean, general good health and well-being is always going to be an advantage in any sort of malady or illness. So I would encourage everybody out there to try and keep as healthy and fit as possible, and make sure you're boosting your immune system at all times, so that when things like this do occur, you're at the top of your game and not vulnerable, if possible. I mean, obviously, it's not possible for some people. Do you have any?
Yeah, I think you Paul, you're a non-smoker. I'm a non-smoker. I know there are stories out there coming out of France where they're saying smoking doesn't affect the corona and stuff. But obviously, if your lungs have been affected by smoking prior, then you're going to have less lung capacity. And to all the hangover things, yeah, it did feel like a bad hangover going back to my uni days and stuff. But Sarah was obviously had been pregnant for a while and stuff, so I hadn't been drinking or going out much, and I don't normally drink a lot unless it's a celebration. So that did help, I think, and I was generally a little bit fit, playing odd touch rugby, going for a jog, walking, doing a bit of gym where possible and stuff, but nothing crazy. Paulie, I've got some questions on my side.
Generally all round fit. Daniel said, yeah, health always has a part to play. And then the last thing from my side, he also said, I think in response to was it man-made, that question, he says, so then why does influenza not have the world on close down?
So then why did obviously that's like I said, there's opportunism that's come, and maybe people have if they just said let's close down because of influenza, because if they wanted to do something, I'm not saying this is what I believe in, they can't just do it after 100 years of having the flu. People would say no, out. But now that they've come up with a name that's there and it's a novel virus and stuff, opportunism has come. Because I'll be honest, I have seen some governments that are taking it to its extremes. They are pushing citizens and livelihoods, sadly, to the brink of non-existence anymore. People are going to pass because of that, and not because of corona. That's another topic maybe we'll explore. But yeah, I think maybe that's Daniel. Maybe that's one of the things. Paulie, I've got Heather K says, why would you say the number of international tourists we welcome through the town from high-risk areas, would you say we have only had one case yet? Personal opinion, and might be a bit controversial, is I don't think I was the first case in Zimbabwe officially. I mean, in just being corona-ized. But I was definitely the first case on paper because they tested me and they found it. I think, Heather, you'll probably know there's obviously stories that came from your neck of the woods and stuff like that, with people traveling back and saying, oh no, they might not have it and that, but they don't test people in the UK, as Paul said. So if someone excuse me, was traveling here and came and went back to their country of origin and were tested positive for it there, then we could say, yeah, they were in Zimbabwe, but they're still getting marked as being there. We had a visitor who traveled through Zimbabwe. I'm not sure the exact location in that, but they were tested positive for corona in Namibia. So definitely someone had it and would have come into contact. If they're tourists, they could have come into contact with people selling carvings and stuff, your waiter at the restaurant, your housekeeper, anything like that. It just takes, one cough in the wrong place and someone can catch it. So Heather, I definitely don't think I've been the only case in Vic Falls. I think there's probably been a lot. There's some studies coming out of other countries where they are testing people and realizing that a lot of people have had it before. So yeah, I think official on paper, yes, and it's a horrible moniker to have. It did get me on Paulie's show here, so we're eternally grateful for that in hindsight. But the case, the thing is, I'm sure a lot of people have had it, and a lot of people actually spoke to me afterwards. It was interesting. There were two types of people. So one type would be like out of the blue, like they would have heard I had or might have had it, and they'd be like, "Hey, Graham," and you're like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Good, thanks, and you?" And then they'll be like, "Fine." They were beating about the bush. They didn't want to come. And other people were like, "Hey, I heard you got corona. I've got some strange symptoms. Can you tell me what there was?" And obviously, I'm going to give a terrible example, but people would be like, "My butt's on fire. My eyes are bleeding. I can't smell anything. Like it's just blood coming out of my ears. Were those your symptoms?" And I'm like, "No, I've had minor symptoms and I got a tight chest and whatnot." And they're like, "Oh, thank God I don't have corona." I'm like, "You've probably got Ebola or something like that. And you need to go and get it checked out rather than worrying about the corona." And that's the problem with this hype that's been created, is people are so focused on this that you might actually come out of this whole world lockdown, and let's say there's a vaccine or disappears or whatever, and everyone opens up and goes back to normal, and you'll walk out of the street and get hit by a bus. And there we were sitting hoping for the last 2 months or 3 months or 4 months to go and finish as fast as possible. And we're just basically wishing away our life. So we need to make as much of the situation as we are. Once again, opportunist in terms of not taking advantage and making money of sick people and that, or potentially sick people, but just how we deal with it.
I've got Daniel's just said something here, so I'm going to just make a disclaimer statement here. Daniel's saying, so how do we deal with the asymptomatic cases? We're not here to solve the problems. We didn't sign up for that. We just want to tell you our experience. We can chat about it, and we're very interested in hearing other people's perspectives. But as far as taking over the role of government and coming up with a solution, I'm not a virologist or a pathologist or a microbiologist or any type of gist that needs to be that knows anything about this particular topic. So I really don't think I'm.
Where is Daniel based, Paul?
Bulawayo.
Oh, okay, cool. I was going to say, I thought maybe if he was in another country, we could chat about how they're dealing with it there. Daniel, I think there's a lot of people who've had it. To be 100% honest, I think there's more asymptomatic cases that have been out there that we didn't know. There's people I've spoken to now that have said, hey, they had terrible flu-like symptoms in December.
More than you think.
For spot on. So there were some stats. I'll throw some stats quickly. It's a state in one of the states in the States, how they're doing their lockdown and stuff. They've got 15,000 cases that are contributing to the however many millions they've gotten in the States. And the governor actually said they ran independent tests with kits they were happy with and stuff. And they just went out and randomly tested people. So not anyone like, hey, are you feeling sick? Have you felt sick? Have you come in? They just tested random people. And they came back with 200 positive results. So they weren't saying if the results were positive that the person, I couldn't figure out if the person was still sick. They were saying it could be that 200,000 people, some of them are still sick and would be contagious, but others would have had it. And it's the antibodies that are coming out. So they're saying we're opening up because we're contributing 15,000 statistics to the pile, but there's actually 200,000 that we have tested ourselves. And that's the thing that's driving me a little bit insane. And I don't know, coming back to opportunist theories, and it feeds the conspiracy theorists, is why are governments not doing more to test for the antibodies? If someone has had it, what is their immunity? We know for SARS and we know for MERS is a long immunity. It's over a year, up to 2 years in certain things. For the common flu, it's not as long as that. It's generally up to 6 months or a year. And then once the flu comes around again, it mutates a bit and we get sick again. But the tricky thing is, why aren't we saying it? Why aren't we saying if you've had it, you are immune? Because if there's 200,000 people just in that state that are immune, then they could be at the forefront. They can get trained to give care to other people. They can go back to work, even if they were maybe a journalist and someone needs to process food in the meat processing factory. Get that person in there, so we can get the economy and the livelihood start going again.
Got any more questions on your side?
No. Not. Come on, guys, throw some questions. A lot of people from Mauritius clocking in, which is cool. Hey, Mauritius, Namibia. So quite a few people there, which is quite nice. So just hi to them. I think a lot of people are leaving, Paulie, because we're sticking around that 4750 number. So some people have obviously been a little bit bored with us, but it's fine.
Rosie is shouting at us for touching our faces. You guys are touching your face. Yes, but we're not touching each other's faces, Rosie.
Not this time. I'll sanitize afterwards. So it's tricky. And getting back to Dan's things, like how do we do it? How do we deal with it? It's impossible because, yes, there's been a concerted effort to lock down most countries and stuff like that. Yes, I think to do a 3-week, 4-week lockdown was necessary. So because we knew nothing about it, we didn't know if everyone's going to die. We didn't know if anyone had it. We didn't know how contagious it was. But now they're starting to see it. So why are they still keeping the lockdown? Tanya mentioned there the South African government, where you can't even go and sister-in-law was telling me you can't even buy nail varnish until recently. You couldn't buy certain clothes or shoes because it's draconian methods and stuff. And one of the biggest worries is that now we're one step closer to being able to do it again. If let's say down the line COVID-20 comes out or whatever it is, the next one, people can easily, it's almost like flicking a switch and saying, okay, everyone go into lockdown now. So then where do you draw the line between, is it a real danger, or are the people in government doing it for some other reasons? I know in South Africa they've got the ban on alcohol and cigarettes, and the ban on alcohol and alcohol is purely based on preventing violence and domestic violence while people are locked up, which I can understand, but I'll touch more on that later. And then the ban on cigarettes is saying that if I was smoking next to Paul, then we would be sharing a cigarette, so it would we would be spreading it. But I mean, if I'm sitting next to Paul anyway, I'm probably going to cough or I'm going to spread it anyway if I'm not as conscious enough to do it. So then they look into it. Hang on, why are they still keeping the ban on alcohol and the ban on cigarettes? And there's links that start coming around to certain people that want to benefit from the black market, where you can sell it at a much higher profit and stuff like that. So once again, opportunism, not conspiracy. I'm not saying anyone in the South African government is doing it. And I'm not saying the South African government banned it deliberately do something, but maybe there's people in powerful places that are now able to benefit from that opportunity. Okay, a few more questions here.
Well, some of the big theories, I feel like people give these governments way too much credit sometimes, and that they think they're much more powerful and much more organized and much more intelligent than they really are. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, carry on. You said you got some questions.
So Dominic Gieser or Gieser out of the Western Cape says, agreed, we need more antibody testing here, and definitely on that. I think just touching on the testing, a lot of people are always saying we need tests, and it's great. That's like kind of saying we need to have more food in the world and spread out evenly. So it's difficult to actually get it. To do one test on someone's house, you need a vehicle, obviously. You need about 3 people to go. You need a full-on hazmat suit, the PPEs that you're going to throw away at the end of it. You need a the test. You need to be able to get that test to another place. So it's not as easy as just saying, you flicking a light switch and it comes on. There's electricity or there's no electricity. So we do definitely need more antibody tests. But that also makes me wonder, why aren't we testing for antibodies? Is it because they don't want people to say, hang on, I've had it, here's my antibody test, you can't stop me from going out, and it does cause other mayhem. Maybe I can't think as far ahead as what the governments want and stuff. Tennille also says you're not allowed to buy underwear or a light bulb. Underwear and a light bulb. I don't know what she's got planned for Friday evening, but yeah. It's that to me, that's crazy. Like, if your light goes out over the next 2 months, you need to replace it. So I think the belief was, people were saying that they're wanting to prevent people going out unnecessarily. So if you go out, you're buying essentials, you're buying food, and you're coming back. You're not going to wander around the store and check for clothes or light bulbs and stuff. But an essential to you might be different to essential to me. As you know, Paul, in Zimbabwe, the essentials for people here is food. People need mealie meal, they need food. A lot of people are living on a day-to-day basis, where it's not a case of they've got savings in the bank or big pantry they can just pull on. So, but essential to someone maybe in South Africa like Tanil is she needs underwear and a light bulb to do whatever she wants to do.
Yeah. Ori Lee is saying, what are your views on the vaccine? Wow, it's another big one.
Really, are you talking about Bill Gates' vaccine or just vaccine in general? So, look, I think they're chasing a vaccine. A lot of people, particularly if you in different demographics. So, if you look at America, a lot of people there are on medication, and they jump to go to medication. If a child has got a little bit of a sore stomach or something, pop off to the pharmacy and you get your medication. In South Africa, Zimbabwe, you'll know it's a bit different, where people aren't as ready to rush forward. So a lot of people, I would say here, are saying, listen, we need a vaccine because then we can get tourists to come. But necessarily, I'm not going to want to take a vaccine if it was here. But if it's going to make people feel okay and they can travel, then go for it. I believe some people are saying vaccine comes out towards the end of the year. Others are saying it's going to take 18 months. Every time I turn the TV on the last 6 weeks, they keep saying 18 months. No one's dropping the timer down. Optimistic, I think they will find something. But if you look at malaria virus as well, they still haven't found a vaccine for malaria. So I don't think we should hold our breath. It's one thing what Mr. Trump said that I do agree with, is that vaccine or not, we mustn't focus on that and believe only once the vaccine is here, then we can actually go about our lives. We should be starting to go about our lives in whichever way possible, in whichever way legally allowed to, from the get-go.
Yeah, so I've got we've got Rosie says there's about to be a baby boom. Probably. Everyone, and I think a baby boom and a divorce boom as well. Everyone in SA needs to calm down. Too much suburban hysteria. That's from Navani Pillay. Daniel says, Paul, my perspective is that this was released on purpose, but on reading various articles, whether true or not, it would appear various countries are involved. That's an interesting perspective. But again, we can't really comment on that because we have no evidence to say yes or no, or it's all speculative.
Well, have you not watched Plandemic, the 25-minute trailer on a film that's not going to come out?
I try not to watch rubbish. That's fine. Christine Robinson, I think a lot of people, especially here in England, worry about the amount of people who have died of COVID-19. So they become very aware of where they are, what they're doing, etc. I think there's a big divide between countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, that haven't seen the true scale of the pandemic, as opposed to countries like the UK, Italy, and Spain that have actually seen the impact of what can happen. So where some people say it's all just hysteria and panic and why are we locking down, it's because you haven't seen what's happened and you haven't seen the spilling over hospitals. If you watched my very first broadcast 3 weeks, about a month ago with BB Eastwood, I actually had someone from the NHS come on as a guest and talk about what they had seen firsthand, and literally talking about bodies and bags in the hallways that they can't get rid of fast enough to open up beds. And that's the whole thing of flattening the curve and the first wave and the second wave, and how they're trying to create waves by doing the lockdown and then easing it a bit and then reinforcing it, then easing it a bit. They're trying to create waves of peaks that they can manage throughout the healthcare system. So you think about places like South Africa and Zimbabwe that don't have the kind of facilities that the UK does have. They go into draconian lockdown measures because they don't have the facilities no matter what the waves are. They're trying to stop the thing as hard and as fast as possible. So I don't like to take sides or give too much credit to governments too much, but the point of the matter is, what would you do in their position? Do you actually have a better solution? And in these situations, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they do the lockdowns, they're arseholes for being draconian. If they don't do the lockdown, then the government's not doing enough. So there's no win in this situation. as the president or leader of a country, you're a dickhead no matter what in this kind of situation, and it's very, very difficult. So I think the only thing we can do as people is try to be somewhat understanding and compassionate about the whole thing. Daniel then says, out of all countries, it would appear that China has benefited from this ordeal. Yeah, again, they've probably taken advantage of it for sure. And I think other countries will take advantage. Businesses have taken advantage. I think PPE manufacturers are laughing all the way to the bank. I think I know hand sanitizing manufacturers are laughing all the way to the bank. Certain parts of the world will benefit while other people suffer. That's the nature of life. That's how it is, I think. Daniel says he agrees on the impact factor. Christine Robinson saying over 39,000 people. I think that's deaths. Valchikali, it is still going to hit us here. Our winter is coming. I agree with our precaution here in South Africa. Yeah, unfortunately, I think personally, again, talking about a place like Zim in South Africa, because it hit the high traffic travel destinations first, the UK being a major hub of the world. Obviously, the UK is going to get it hard, fast, and in the beginning, and it will trickle to far-reaching places like South Africa and Zimbabwe. So even though you guys got some, you got a far smaller dose to start with, and then suddenly went into lockdown because your governments copied what the UK and Italy and everyone else was doing. So from that point of view, you guys are sitting there going, "Why are we in lockdown? There's like 3 cases." It's because you went into lockdown fast as soon as everything happened, whereas we waited for 10,000 people to have it before we had not lockdown. So it spread fast. I don't think it's wrong, personally. I just don't know. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's right. I don't know a better way. I can't think of a better way. I don't know what you think, Graham.
Yeah, it's difficult. In the beginning, like I said, I believed in it, and my family's had massive arguments and stuff like that's come from it, and friends as well. It's kind of divided. What I have noticed is that a lot of people, and I say this with all due respect, so please don't paint me with a horrible brush and never talk to me again. I have noticed that a lot of people that are imminent with their jobs or their businesses failing have suddenly taken a harder line and saying we should open.
Hold on a sec. Because on that note, Tanya is saying, what are your thoughts on preventing people going to work? People are now reaching the point where they can no longer feed their families and are earning no income. Not all countries are as generous or jacked up in helping provide funds for their currently unemployed. So I think this is where you're going with this, hey, Graham?
Yeah. So the thing is, like, okay, so let's take I'm in the tourism industry. Let's say there's a hotel. Okay, so US borders, UK borders are all closed. Even if Zimbabwe opened up its borders and said its people can go to the hotel to work, whether you're a waiter, housekeeper, manager, whatever it is, you're still not going to have guests. So people say, yeah, but there's local tourism. But the local tourism, the way we are set up, all our businesses are set up, are most here particularly, and in other parts of the world, are mostly set up for international. The prices are high and the yield and stuff like that will go into numbers. We can't survive on local tourism alone. So let's say the government of Zimbabwe says, oh, people need to eat, let's send them out. Off you go to your place of work. Work can't retrench you. But if the UK and the international borders aren't sending people in, they're still not going to be able to get the food to eat. So we come into that stage now of lives versus livelihoods. Definitely the initial thing was to flatten the curve, and I think many countries have done it or just starting. I think, Paul, you in the UK are starting to come off the peak now. So it's an interesting time. They're looking at opening up a few things.
On wave 1.
On wave 1, correct. Sorry, yeah. And I need to chat about the waves just now because I've got another theory on that.
The second wave is planned. It has to happen. It's not that it might. There's going to be a second wave. It's part of the plan.
Yeah. So, but saying to someone like, it's like being on the side of a river. Let's say, and there's crocodiles in the river, and you need to get to the other side because there's lava coming or whatever. If you stay on that side, you're going to get the lava is going to burn you and you're going to die. But if you take a chance to go through the river, you might also die, but you need to eat. You need to find thing, and it's difficult. Who was it? Was it Tanya? Sorry, Tanya. It's difficult to say. Like, I don't have the answer, but I think we're coming to a stage where maybe we flatten the curve. We set up systems in all different countries. Italy are coming out of the bodies in the hallway and stuff like that. Very sad there. So maybe we need to start allowing certain sectors of the public to go, because even if we stay in lockdown for another 6 weeks, when we come out, there's still going to be a spike. So how much of the curve do we want to flatten? So what's the plan afterwards? The initial thing was stay at home to flatten the curve. That's good. The other thing we need to also focus on is that this virus can be beaten. That's the good thing. It's not like, Ebola is a terrible virus because when it infects the host, it kills the host quite quickly, generally speaking. And that's not what viruses want. Viruses want to be able to carry on. They want to infect as many people, multiply themselves, infect more organisms, and carry on. It doesn't want to kill the host because then it dies with them. So this virus is very clever. Remember, I'm not a virologist. I've got a Wikipedia degree in it, but nothing. So you can contradict me and stuff. That's fine. But this virus wants to infect as many people as possible, and then go on to other people and stuff like that. So eventually, what might happen? It might actually mutate to where it's like the flu. It doesn't kill as fast, or the elderly only and stuff. I know the flu does kill, but I'm just going to something. So it doesn't kill as many people, and it will just pass through us. Other thing is, maybe we've had the first wave, Paulie. I know this is contentious and we can box here, but maybe we've had the first wave. France had a case where someone came in sick. They still had their blood or whatever on file, and they retested it and found out, hey, this guy actually had corona in December. So this guy was walking around the streets, he obviously took precautions and he took his flu med and Medlem and stuff, but he would have infected other people. So maybe the big curve has been there. We don't know. That's why it gets back to that antibody testing. It'd be great to be able to test antibodies and see how many people have had it. I don't know the technology behind it. But, getting back to the fact that we can defeat this virus. If we had mind control over everyone and we all just went into a hibernative state for 21 days, like a full shutdown across, everyone's got food in an ideal world, everyone's got water, everyone's got electricity, everyone stays home. In 21 days, if you lock down or shelter in place with the people that you're with now, technically you should actually, if you caught the virus, you'll get rid of it, or you won't be as contagious, and then we open the world. But humans are stupid. A lot of people are taking chances. In Italy, when they started doing the lockdowns and closing down the certain regions, people would sneak out at night to go to a party down the thing. 5,000 people come back, and they brought it into a village. You live in a village, so imagine if you snuck out at night, got coronavirus, then came back and went about your day as you wanted, and you start infecting people. That's the problem. We're still fortunate that Dettol can cure it if you wash your hands with it, and soap can cure it. So we need to focus on that. If everyone does their part, if you feel sick or you think you're sick, stay at home. Wear your mask in public. That's one thing that Zimbabwe's done, which is great, because me wearing a mask is not stopping Paul giving it to me. It's stopping me probably giving it to Paul. Even though I don't feel sick, I might do a cough, or I might, as Rosie said, we touch our face, touch the desk, or touch the counter and walk away. I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm fit, I'm all cool and stuff like that. But the next person might come and then they're infected from me. I might never know I've got it until we do the antibody test. So just the small things that everyone starts practicing more and more and more and more, we will even flatten the curve once we start to open and drop the curve and eventually get through it faster, I think.
So, Hemel Ramshot is saying main problem is Zimbabwean numbers are also very wrong and worrying. I mean, Chirundu Zambia side has detected between 20 to 30 people, and Zimbabwe's numbers are 37 or something like that. But again, you can't get an accurate number without testing the entire population. And who you're going to test? You're going to test people that are showing some kind of symptom or feeling.
Spot on.
Yeah, and if someone was feeling like I felt, they're going to stay at home and they're going to be like, I'm fine. So it's impossible. You can't, it's hard. It's difficult. As much as I'd like to find fault with the government, I also think we should try and be a little bit fair in the process.
For sure. It's very difficult.
2 years.
Paul, you missed one. Sorry, you missed one just above there from Ant Adams talking about conspiracy theories. I think we chatted a little bit about it. And I'm not into conspiracy theories. I'm into opportunist theory. So Judy Mitkowitz, or whatever her name is, there's literally, you can do a 30-second Google search and 5G, Judy Mitkowitz, and all those people can be blown out of the water. There's no pedophile ring led by Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff that's out there.
And there's no 5G towers anywhere near me. I live in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, or in Zimbabwe, and we've had, although I know a lot of cases came back and stuff like that, but it's a lot of myths. And I think the sad thing is, I mean, I've got got friends and people that I would class as highly educated, and it's almost like you want to blame. The same thing happened to me. As soon as I had it, people in Victoria Falls started saying, "Oh my God, I saw Graham 3 days ago." Their mind went crazy. They hadn't seen me so soon. They'd seen me, a week and a half ago. But because they're worried, they want to blame it on something, or they want to attach onto something. And if we can see a 25-minute trailer, I've never watched a film trailer that's 25 minutes telling me about a story that's coming out on 4 people that can be debunked within seconds by actual scientists. So unless every single one of those scientists, every single one of those thousands of doctors out there who are debunking the myth, are all on the pay grade and the Illuminati or whatever it is, or investing in 5G towers, we need to give credit to our intellect and actually just start to look a little bit deeper and scratch the surface. Even if you scratch it with your fingernail or a teaspoon, you can get it. But I'm still getting on WhatsApp groups and stuff like, "Oh, have you seen this? Oh, have you seen this?" It's like it's ridiculous. I can create a meme or whatever you want to call it, and say like, "Dog bites kill more people than corona." Think on that and post it, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I know Graham. I think you went to university. I've seen him. He talks well and stuff like that. Must be true. Let me forward it." They start forwarding it on to their people, and suddenly everyone believes that dog bites are more dangerous than corona and stuff like that, which is not true. So yeah, and just to get to that, I don't believe in Judy Mitkowitz. I've said it on my Facebook and stuff. There's probably better conspiracy theories out there that we could dive into. Is Paulie human? That's one of them. I mean, there's a lot of different things we can check. But yeah, so Paulie, over to you.
So Valchikali is saying 2 years ago, babies and toddlers were diagnosing with corona and put into hospital. We did not know what it was, and I thought it was strange. Corona is a family name, like you say, bats. There's different kinds of bats. There's different kinds of corona. So flu is even a type of coronavirus, isn't it? It's the structure of the virus that's made because it's a ring of a crown of something corona. I don't know. I'm not a virologist, but it's a group name.
Yeah. If you grab your Dettol and a lot of your spray clean stuff, if you turn it to the back, it says it cures coronavirus, the family. So, which is true. I mean, we know soap even cures this coronavirus. So that's where Trump started talking about drinking bleach or injecting bleach or anything. Sorry, Martin has just said Mosey Rovers. So shout out to Mosey Rovers, the soccer team, Victoria Falls.
Nicola Matheson Smythe says, "I think the fact that we've had a wake up about hygiene is a good thing. I'm going to disagree with you 100%, and I think it's terrible because I think we live far too sanitary lives, and I think that's half the problem. And I think half the reason I didn't get affected as that badly is because I eat things that fall on the floor. No 5-second rule. 45-minute rule. If it's been on the floor an hour, I'll eat it. I don't care. I eat dead survival courses for the last 10 years. I eat carcasses. I will eat bugs. I don't care. I think it's very important. I think we wash our hands far too much. And I think we over-sterilize our environments, and immune system is like a muscle. If you don't work it, it doesn't get stronger. So I'm not saying don't wash your hands now because we're in an accumulating situation. Right now, because your immune systems are not strong, please wash your hands. Please follow the hygiene. Please do all the things that the WHO and the government recommends, because we're now in too deep. This is the situation where I'm saying you should be learning to swim before jumping in the water. Right now, we're in the water, so you better take the life support.
Paulie, I agree with you there. In terms of the what you're saying and stuff, like it's spot on, and kids in Zimbabwe and South Africa growing up are different to kids elsewhere, and there's different diseases that affect people differently. I'm not saying people here are immune in that. I look, to be honest, and my wife will tell you, I'm a germaphobe. Like, I wash my hands 100 times, and I was wearing a mask, and I still managed to catch it. And it's probably because I was maybe too clean or whatever. But it just takes one. The example I give, it just takes one housekeeper where you're staying to sneeze on your toothbrush to catch it. So I definitely agree with Paulie. We need to boost our immune system, and particularly now that we're staying away from everyone. If someone comes in with a small bout of flu, we're all going to get it. We're all going to poop our pants and think that we've got corona and stuff. That's the problem. But I think to jump into, who was it, Nicola's thing, just to give her a bit of thing. I think, and I'm an opportunist. So coming out of this, we've had a massive reset. There's a Control-Alt reset that's happening throughout. it's happening in businesses. Sadly, businesses that were badly run, that had too many people, too much expenditure. They've suddenly realized, hey, the times aren't good, so now we need to start to cut and stuff like that, which is sad, but it's good for business sense. I'm talking about a business sense. In terms of the world and stuff like that, so not the hygiene and the immune system that Paulie was touching on there, which I agree with you 100%. In terms of carbon emissions, I'm excited about that. I mean, it's sad to see so many planes stationary, so many trains stationary, so many vehicles stationary. But if you actually go to some of the sites that are non-profit, non-governmental, and you start to look at what the carbon emissions have happened, it's great. Look, I don't really believe that there were dolphins in the Venice Canal. I think people started mixing things. The Venice Canal was clean. There's turtles coming back to beaches that weren't there before. We see it here. I mean, I had buffalo outside my gate the other day, and I'm not saying that there were no buffalo before, but because there's less traffic and stuff, those animals are starting to come closer into town because there's less interference. So take that on an environmental scale of Vic Falls, which is pretty it's kind of a unique place. You can have wild animals there, but take it on a global scale. You're getting animals coming closer in, you're getting maybe more animals breeding and stuff. On the same side, it's also allowing poaching and things like that. So you got to weigh it up. So to me, I would say the air quality is better. If you said to me, Graham, you can become the president of the world tomorrow, I would do a complete lockdown every 2 weeks, every year. And look, it would probably not get me voted as president of the world if there was such a thing. But what it would do is it would give people time to spend with their families. So you're not allowed to travel, you're not allowed to go anywhere. You stock up. The government can attend to the poorer people and stuff like that. We can plan for it because we know it's going to be between the 1st and the 14th of February, and then we all come out and have a big party. But at least we're looking intrinsically, and we're spending time with loved ones. We're accepting things more gratefully than just run of the mill. We understanding about the world health and stuff like that. For all we know, this is the worst thing that's happened to a lot of us, right? For all we know, this is a warning shot that Mother Earth has gone pink and sent to us, and just saying, like, there could be something worse coming. Like, I firmly believe there could be zombies walking down the street next. I would never have believed we would have anything that could come out that would cancel the Olympics, that would cancel everything. Yeah, zombies would actually be fun because it'll give us something to do, but it'll be a different challenge.
Boring in this, I'll tell you that much.
For sure. But I think Mother Earth or Mother Nature, whoever it is, your creator, whoever it is giving a warning shot to say, guys, think about it. And I hope that we don't, once we come out of this, whether it's a vaccine or people break free and run into the streets or whatever it is, that the virus is going to go away. It's not a virus that's going to kill mankind. It is a virus that's eventually going to mutate, so it's going to kill itself off, or it's going to disappear through human dealings. Either we stay home, whatever, we protect ourselves and we don't infect anyone else, or it just dies off itself. But we need to not go back into the next stage where everything's open. And I don't speak to Paul again, like, because I spoke to him. Like, I don't see my baby because I'm at work all the time, and I come back and then shall I go and play sport with my friends? I'm a little bit tired. Let me watch TV and eat something on the couch. We need to start to reassess our livelihoods and take this as almost a grateful thing, opportunist thing. It's terrible. Everything is happening. It's terrible. But we need to be grateful that we've been given this wake-up call, that it's not a full fatality for everyone. Sadly, it has been for a lot of people and will be for future. But those of us that can come through it, we need to make sure we learn from it. Sorry.
Just acknowledge Navani Pile's comment. This is very refreshing to watch. Better than the crap on the news and the psychos on social media with me mentality. Well, thank you very much for that. That means a lot, and we hope that you've enjoyed the interaction so far. Val Chikali's just said, we are mud kids from Zim. I'm hygienic, but these disinfectant sprays and gels are awful. And Tanya agrees with that. Rosie, I think taking personal responsibility to clean up after yourself and promoting a world without litter in a clean environment, this is a proactive approach to a better world. Here's time to reflect and change. Yeah, for sure. And, even just the thing of the world has changed on a fundamental level, really. I mean, I think a lot of businesses have realized that you don't have to travel to an office to do your job. Congestion, traffic, those will all be different things in the future. Therefore, carbon emissions should be down. All the rest of it, they are down currently, but they should stay at a lower level than they were before. If companies continue to allow their employees to work from home. And let's hope they do. It has many benefits. Doing your own hours, as long as the job is done, doing your own hours gives better family time, gives better mindset, allows for better health, allows for many, many, many different things. So we've gone over our time by a long way again. It seems to happen a lot these days. If there are any more questions or any more things that you want to add, please, we'll give you 2 minutes to chuck them in there. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye to everybody. Whilst I'm waiting for the questions, I just want to remind you all, this is every Wednesday at 7 p.m. CAT or 6 p.m. BST. I'll be doing a live broadcast. 3 out of 4 broadcasts will be with a guest like Graham. And then 1 out of 4 will be me alone in an AMA, ask me anything style conversation with anybody. You can send in questions beforehand for the AMAs, and I will prepare answers for them and talk about them in advance. Or you can ask there and then in the live feed. That'll be next Wednesday. I think as well, if you want to have an actual conversation with me, like Graham's come onto the show, please inbox me. Let me know what topic you're looking at. Let's chat about it. Let's work out something and let's get on the air. It's always nice to explore different perspectives. I'm really keen on talking about conservation with somebody. If there's a hunter guide out there, or a conservationist, or some kind of animal orphanage, anything. If you want to talk about conservation, please come to chat with me, and I'll be more than happy to start a conversation. I might ask you hard questions. I might ask you questions you don't like. I might play a bit of devil's advocate. Don't take it personally. I just want to get information and different perspectives and all different sides of an equation so that people can make informed, educated decisions on their own, rather than always listening to the hype and propaganda that's put out there. My favorite quote that I use so often is, "Hell hath no fury like a vested interest masquerading as a moral principle." So even some that are looking like they're doing all the right things are often doing the wrong thing behind closed doors because they have an agenda. So I like to bring all sides of the equation to allow us to make educated and informed decisions.
Paulie, just a quick one. Sorry, we missed something. So Christine, sorry, I hope you are feeling better. You did say you were feeling sick and had the test. So hopefully your test does come back negative. And then I know you're gonna wrap up, Paulie. So just from me, thanks very much. And also, guys, we've got this short window of time where we are stuck at home. Let's make the best out of it. I'm not saying livelihoods aren't worth it, and we should open up tomorrow. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, just look after yourself, look after your loved ones. We've got more interest now of calling each other and spending time on these chats and stuff like that. So take advantage of it. Wear a mask where you can. I know in some places you don't have to, but it is going to help. You might be like me, who was asymptomatic. Had I gone out and played touch rugby or gone to the shops or something like that, I would have spread it to a lot more people. It's not about you and me who can survive it. If you're of a certain age group, you know, the underlying health categories. It's about you knowing that you may infect someone down the line, and that person has passed away. How are you going to live with that? So whether we believe in conspiracy theories or not, guys, take this opportunity to enjoy it. Wear a mask, wash your hands, love one another, and as a human race, we can stop this if we all just look into ourselves.
And thank you so much, Graham, for coming on and putting yourself out there and letting everyone talk to you. I'm going to let you go because I can hear you being called.
Yeah, there's a little baby that's starting to cry now, so yeah, I'm in trouble.
Thank you very much, Graham. We'll catch you later.
Cheers, guys. Much love. Thank you.
And thank you to everybody who came and played with us and joined in on the conversation. It really means a lot. Like I said, every Wednesday, we'll see you there on Soshing with Suntwe. Take care.